My name is Ben Howard and I'm a researcher at Imperial College in London. I'm from the United Kingdom and I've been working on a project called Pathways to Equitable Healthy Cities. So we're currently working in a city in northern Ghana called Tamale, and we're using a co-production methodology to try and enable equitable flood adaptation. So what that means is we're using a research process that brings societal partners like local governments and communities to the centre of the research process. We're trying to understand flood risk in Tamale. What are the drivers and components of flood risk, including the sort of magnitude of hazards, how different people are exposed to flooding, and the vulnerabilities that make people be impacted by flooding. We're especially interested in adaptation to flooding, and that means finding ways to cope with increasing flood risks. So we're interested in how different levels of adaptation interact to determine an overall flood risk for an individual and for a household. So city-level adaptation is things like storm drain networks, and we're trying to understand how the current storm drain network changes flood risk within the city, and how it has been designed or not designed affects the way that outcomes are distributed. We're also looking at community-level adaptation, and this includes things like behavioural changes, sort of evacuation plans and early warning, and also structural changes like embankments and community-level drainage. And then finally, household level adaptation is things like building houses of higher quality that can withstand the flood, and building houses on platforms or in compounds. So we're starting to reveal that different groups of people have different levels of access to these adaptation opportunities. So people that are wealthier, of a higher socioeconomic status, they tend to have higher access to these levels of adaptation. And sometimes that also means that some of the exposure, some of the risk is offset from wealthy communities into poor communities. So on a city level, this actually reduces climate resilience. So we're trying to find ways that we can enable a more equitable adaptation approach on a city level. And that means designing a city level strategy, including these societal partners.